Welcome, Sim sports fans. It's Nightmare here. My name is Morgan. I run the Nightmare Stables. I also run a series called the Bargain Bred Racing Series, and it's time for our year end awards, the Bargies. But before we get to the awards, you may want to check out our website if you've never heard us before, bargainbred.com. Anybody in the sim can play and participate. This is a series of races, stakes races, a lot of them, and a lot of allowances for scratch bred runners. Costs less than 120 points. You can come over, you can kind of check out the rules on the page and get a general idea. And then you can jump over if you go to About Us and you can head over to the message board. This is where a lot of our communication happens, is on the message board. And it's here where we nominate runners to races for the weeks. Also, the full schedule is posted here as well. March 3rd is Bargie Day. We celebrate our winners of 2017 on Bargie Day. We sponsor 3 graded races in Louisiana this week, 3 grade 2s. Our stakes action kicks off for older runners March 31st, for our 3-year-old runners April 7th. And it's a lot of action throughout the year, about every 4 weeks. We got stakes races. We got tons of 2-year-old maiden races. This is a great time to get in on the series and enjoy. It's a lot of fun, and it's a lot harder than you think to breed a cheap runner and get a good one. Alrighty, without further ado, we're going to jump to our awards now. And in this video, we're going to talk about our 2- and 3-year-old award winners. So let's get to it here. We're going to start off with our 2-year-old fillies on turf. And they get started in the Star-in-Ski. And it was Chassis who went gate to wire almost there with Softster. These two left the gate pretty close to one another, dueled throughout the stretch. And Chassis got the better of Softster by half a length at the wire and earned the victory in the first stakes race for 2-year-old fillies on the turf. The next race is at 8 furlongs in this division. The Vandergrift Park and Atlas Air showed up with Gain a Strike, and these two relished the extra distance. They beat Chassis and Softster, who coming out of the sprint. It would be Atlas Air nailing Gain a Strike by 3/4 of a length at the wire. Chassis was there for a nice third. In the Bargain Bowl, and the Bargain Bowl is just like the Breeders' Bowl or the Breeders' Cup for our bargain runners. In the misallocation, this is our turf filly juvie race. It was Gain a Strike, turning the tables on Atlas Air, and really turning the tables on the whole filly turf division here. She wins by 1.5 lengths over Mantrix. Long gain contribute, Atlas Air third. Chassis finished in 5th. And our turf 2-year-old filly turf Bargie goes to Gain a Strike. Her win in the misallocation and her second place victory in the Vandergrift Park earns her enough points in the division to take home the year-end honors as the top 2-year-old turf filly. Congratulations to Hawks. Another good runner out of that barn. We look forward to seeing her in 2018 as a 3-year-old. Here's a quick look at the 2-year-old turf filly division. These are the 3 races: Star-in-Ski, Vandergrift, misallocation. You can see the points awarded for each race. The races that take place at the Bargain Bowl are valued more than the regular races. In this case, Gain a Strike earned 15 points for her victory in the misallocation. And that gives her the victory over Chassis here in the 2-year-old filly division. She earned 21 points. Chassis earned 16 points. All right, let's take a look now at our 2-year-old fillies on the dirt. They get started in the Della Street. And this is where we got introduced to Noon Hill Wood. She stepped out of the gates first, led the entire way, but was pressured by both Let Pigs Fly and All In, closing a little bit late there, even career goal. Just a 4-horse field, but only a length separated them at the end, with Noon Hill Wood just getting the better of her rivals here. In the second race in the division, the Fizzy Miss, the distance moves out to a mile, and again it was Noon Hill Wood making every pole a winning one. She stepped out. This time she got some separation by the half-mile pole and really made that stand up to win by almost 2 lengths. You might say she was not really threatened throughout the race. 2-Step Dinaskra finished second, All In third, Let Pigs Fly fourth here. So as we're rolling into the Bargain Bowl, Noon Hill Wood's got a commanding lead in the division. She's won both races. What's she going to do at the Bargain Bowl? And in the Meadow Star, Noon Hill Wood did it again. Made every pole a winning one once again. She started to edge away here in the stretch. winning again almost by 2 lengths here. All in, closed up to be second, just over Let Pigs Fly, and two-step Danaskra there in fourth. So Noon Hill Wood wins all three, so it's not really a mystery, but our 2-year-old filly dirt bargie goes to Noon Hill Wood. Out of Black Tide, she had a really, really nice run here. She won her broke her maiden in April, and this is a common theme with our 2-year-olds here that won division honors. They all seem to break their maiden very early in the year. Her only negative marks are against the boys, and it was a solid third. And she just didn't like the turf, it didn't look like. And that was a pretty salty turf allowance, actually. But she wins all three of the Philly Stakes races, sweeping the division. Congrats to Plano Axios. Great little filly there. She's going to be a handful probably as a 3-year-old. 35 points. That's the max points you can score in the division. All in had 19. Let Pigs Fly 15. All right. Let's go over to our 2-year-old colts, and we'll pick them up on the turf in the Sanford Park, 6 furlongs. And 2 colts stood out in this race, Encircled and Mangari. Mangari stalking the pace a little bit, Encircled coming just from a little bit off of it, and Encircled was able to run down Mangari here to get up by a quarter of a length. These two looked great, good speed figures here. They were well ahead of the rest of the field. So it got interesting. Now we're moving out in distance. We're going to the mile to the Winchester, and it was Mangari and Encircled again. This time, though, Mangari made a 3-length lead heading at the top of the stretch. Stand up here. Encircled managed to get within 2 1/4 lengths here, but Mangari really wasn't threatened too much. A beautiful run here, 90 speed figure for these 2-year-olds in October. Encircled again, these two way ahead of the others. So it's really a 2-horse race as we go into the Bargain Bowl at the Class Act Juvenile, and Mangari did it again. Stalking and pouncing his way to almost a 4-length win over Long Gain Chili. Encircled only managed third this time, closing from back. He was 4 3/4 lengths. So as the year went on, Mangari got a little further from Encircled, or as the distances were out there. So perhaps Encircled we may see in sprints. Mangari maybe moving on to our route division here as 3-year-olds. Well, our 2-year-old Turf Bargie goes to, for our colts, Mangari. 2 wins in a second in the 3 stakes races, almost sweeping it. Impressive wins by 2 1/4 and 3 3/4. Pretty much dominant. 8 races, 6 wins, 2 seconds. As you can see, just swept through the turf allowance races that were available in June and July and August. Really nice runner here. And out of the Dragnell barn, who always has a lot of really nice runners, especially on the turf. He's always tough to beat in these turf races with these juveniles and 3-year-olds and even older runners. Just dominates the miler division, does Dragnell. Here is the points here for the 2-year-old colt turf division. Mangari scores 31 points, Encircled 22 points. They're way ahead of the 3rd place finisher there, Long Gain Chili. All right, let's go on to our 2-year-olds now on the dirt. And Exactness first up in the Amity at 6 furlongs, stalked and pounced and just barely held on from Coupe de Nation, who was closing fast late. Just a neck separated these guys. Land by a Lake finished 3rd. Texas Road here finished 5th. Important to note because as the distance stretched out, it was Texas Road who pounced on his other rivals and got clear late to win by a length and a quarter over his Exactness. And Benji's Jet there in 3rd. So we had an interesting division here rolling into the Bargain Bowl. You had a different winner in the first 2 races. What was going to happen? And in the Charlie's Tiger Juvenile, it was Texas Road, who again showed that the distance was to his liking, and he closed from well back. This time chasing down Mark of Vision, our pace setter here, to win by a length. Exactness held on for 3rd. So 2 wins in the division for Texas Road. Our 2-year-old Dirt Bargie goes to Texas Road. This one's out of my stables here. Broke his maiden again early in April. We got an allowance win in June, and I took a huge step in August, thinking, hey, who knows, maybe this little guy can run. But Graded Company humbled him. I think it took the Amity to get over it before he started gaining his confidence back again. Hopefully, this guy keeps going here as a 3-year-old. Here's the 2-year-old Colt Dirt Division. Exactness, Texas Road. Texas Road with 26 points, Exactness 22 points. Pretty close divisional race here between these two. Mark a Vision, they're in third. Now let's move forward to our 3-year-olds from 2017, and we'll talk about our 3-year-old sprint division. And it gets started in April with the Ozark Sprint, 5.5 furlongs, and Cloud Country jumped on them early, made them pay. Kind of got away with some soft fractions there and beat Kabuki Bird Strut and Beware of Russians. You said it would, the 3-year-old filly there in fourth. The next race in the 3-year-old sprint division is the Gold Coyote. It's in May. And Cloud Country again was up to the task. Went straight to the front. Didn't look back. Won by a length and a half over Kabuki Bird Strut and Extreme Winds. And Pot Cafe there in fourth. Now our third race on the 3-year-old only sprint series is in August. That's the Royal Pond. And sometimes that's the hardest one to get for the sprinters who win early in the year, and that proved to be the same for Cloud Country this year. He set the pace, but A. Randall came from off of it to win by 2. He beat Least of the Lot, a great 3-year-old filly that we'll talk about here a little bit later. Beware of Russians and Extreme Winds, a really nice race put together there for the Royal Pond. Our 3-year-old Dirt Sprint Bargie goes to Cloud Country. So those 2 wins early on in the Ozark Sprint and the Gold Coyote give him enough divisional points to take this division. 3-year-old dirt sprinting. As you can see here, he did try the turf, finished an okay 5th there in the Bourbon Trail. And he did try older runners in the Bargain Dash with a 104 speed figure and the Tele2 Places at the Bargain Bowl with the 103 speed figure. Respectable 5ths. So if he grows a little bit here as a 4-year-old, he definitely might be one to watch here, sprinting here on the dirt. Here is our 3-year-old sprint division, just 3 races. And as you can see, Cloud Country taking the division 21 points to 12 points for Kabuki Bird Strut. A. Randall got 10 there for the win in the Royal Pond. All right, let's move forward here. Let's talk about our 3-year-old fillies on the dirt. Last year's 2-year-old dirt filly champion, Ghost Hopper, got things going and rolling here. She didn't have much pace pressure, although she set a quick pace, and would hold on to win by almost 2 lengths over Time to Talk, and Least of the Lot coming in third there. She looked pretty strong, but as we roll into the Oaks, of course, is a whole furlong further, and that spelled trouble for Ghost Hopper. She just couldn't maintain that pace for that distance, although ran a respectable 4th here. It was Global Jet, her stablemate, that closed from off of it to run down Least of the Lot and win by almost 2 lengths. Time to Talk there in third. So we've got our Least of the Lot, Time to Talk, Ghost Sapper, and Global Jet kind of just finishing there in the top in the first 2 races in the series. Now we have the third race in the series is the Lazy Daisy, 3 weeks later in May, and Least of the Lot finally starts to blossom. Distance moved out to 9 furlongs, got a little longer. She's relishing the distance and made that 2-length lead going into the stretch hold up. Global Jet was in for second, decent closing there, and Time to Talk was well back but finished third. In the 4th race in this series, we move out to 9.5 furlongs in the Queens, and it was Least of the Lot again. Just getting a nice stalking trip. She goes on to win by almost 3 lengths over Global Jet, who ran in second. Hawaii here gets into third. Time to Talk 4th. Our 3-year-old filly Dirt Classic Bargie is going to go to Least of the Lot. Her 3rd place finish in the Ozark, her 2nd place finish in the Oaks, and winning both the Lazy Daisy and Queens sealed up the points in our 3-year-old filly division for Least of the Lot. She did go on to finish a nice second in the Royal Pond, and then she would beat her older rivals in the Slave to Traditions, earning a nice 104 speed figure. Things sort of caught up to her. Kind of a long campaign for these 3-year-olds sometimes, and in the Bargain Bowl, the Cemetery Winter Distaff, she finishes 9th, but if you notice, she's just 3.5 lengths behind the winner. That was a very competitive race. And for 9 runners to be within 3.5 lengths, that's pretty not a bad showing ultimately for the 3-year-old, now 4-year-old. She should be looking to be a better 4-year-old. I think she'll be a player in this older filly mare division. Here's a a look at the 3-year-old filly division. Again, 4 races here. April, the Ozark Diamond, our Bargain Oaks in May, Lazy Daisy 3 weeks later in May, 3 weeks later in June, the Queens. It's a rapid succession here of races for them. At least the lot came out on top. 30 points to 22 for Global Jet, 16 for Time to Talk. Congrats there to Fast and Firm with Lisa Lot. Nice little runner there. All right, we're going to move on now to our turf, 3-year-old turf division here. Now this one we go at 6 furlongs, we go at 8 furlongs, 10 furlongs, and 12 furlongs. So we go from sprint to long route between the 1st of May and middle of July. So it's a real quick succession again of races here. And it was Winter Tides who got the best of his rivals here sprinting, stalking in 6, kind of mid-pack, came on down and just held off the fast-closing Beware of Russians. They were linked ahead of Bold Silverman and A. Randall here. As we move out to a mile in the 100 guineas, it would be Indy Keeper who would move over and get this race in the division. He outlasted, barely holding off Winter Tides at the end of the race here by a quarter of a length. RK's Rodeo Horse finished 3rd. Solid run there. And so Winter Tides, a 1st and a 2nd. Indy Keeper there. As we roll now out to the 10 furlongs, it would be Virtual Affair. 4th in the 100 guineas. He would close down to get Bold Silverman here late. Actually, it was a very good stretch battle between those two by half a length. Cape Town Rocks was just a length back in 3rd. Winter Tides did hold in there for 5th, but the distance probably a little too far for him. Now, the 4th race in the series takes place in July. We go to a mile and a half in the Bargain Turf Derby, and it was the fillies Story Behind who we're going to talk about here shortly. I know we just did the 3-year-old filly division, and we didn't talk about her, but get ready. Her story's coming up here. But she faced the boys here going a mile and a half on the turf and just blew them away. A 4-length lead at the top of the stretch. That held up. She even got a little further ahead there, 4 1/4 lengths over Tiny Ruins. Just destroyed her male rivals in this race. Cape Town Rocks finishing 3rd. So we had 4 races in the division. We had 4 different winners in the races. Who scored enough points to take the 3-year-old Turf Bargie Awards? Well, that honor goes to Winter Tides. That win and that 2nd in the Bourbon Trail and the Guineas and that 5th place finish in the Staten Island scored enough points to hold on to win this division. Really nice 3-year-old season. See, he would go on to finish 3rd in the Kamikaze Mile, 2nd in the Lantau, and then at the Bargain Bowl in the Cafe Mile, ran another nice 3rd. So placing against older rivals late in the year in our top stakes races. Pretty good year for Winter Tides. Winter Tides out of the Dragno barn. Another win for Dragno. Here's the division for 3-year-old turf. You can kind of get an idea here. Very wide open as it usually is. Although I think last year we had a horse win several of these races. But Winter Tides only 17 points in the 4 races, but that's enough to outpoint Virtual Affair and Bold Silverman. Indy Keeper Story Behind, all right there. All right, let's get on to our 3-year-old colts. And they get started in the Ozark, and it was Imagine Mastery who got the year rolling with a 1.5 length win over Keon, and Story Behind, the 3-year-old filly, would finish 3rd here facing the boys. As we moved out to the Bargain Derby, the premier 3-year-old dirt event, it would be the filly Story Behind who sat mid-pack and closed and just made a mockery of this field. Thornsky went out, set some solid fractions. He would hang around for 2nd, but he was really no threat, 3 lengths behind Story Behind. Imagine Mastery made up some ground late, got into 3rd, but 6 lengths behind Story Behind. What a great run from the filly. So Imagine Mastery, Story Behind, they're dueling here as we roll into the 3rd race of the series, the Chesapeake. And Imagine Mastery turns the tables and nails Story Behind by half a length at the wire. So now Imagine Mastery's got 2 wins. Story Behind has 1 win. And Romulus Augustus there was 3rd. Thornsky held on for 4th. And the last race in this 3-year-old only division is the Bronx at 11 furlongs, and it would be Story Behind once again sitting second and then making a big lead hold up as she would go on to win by 2 lengths over Tiny Ruins. Kaiki finished third here. Magic Mastery just couldn't handle the extra distance here today, finishing 11 1/4 lengths behind Story Behind. Story Behind 2 wins. Imagine Mastery 2 wins. Who outpointed who for the honors? The 3-year-old Dirt Classic Bargie goes to Story Behind. The filly outpoints the Colts. Pretty amazing year for her. She would go on to win the Bargain Derby over the Colts. She would then launch into a nice second place finish in the Grade 3 Oaks the Danish for fillies. She would win an open stakes race in the Dr. Tired Turf Filly route, and then come back, finish second in the Over Highland, and on Bargain Bowl Day for us, she came in and finished first in the Vimes Turf Distaff. Very nice run for this 3-year-old filly last year, Story Behind. Now, I can't let the filly be the only award winner in this division. By the way, Story Behind, Plano Axios runner. This is actually his third award here in these 2 and 3-year-olds. I don't remember if I mentioned him, but he does train Cloud Country, our 3-year-old turf colt division winner. Noon Hill Wood, our 2-year-old filly dirt division winner, and now with the filly, he takes on the boys and beats them up pretty good. But we're going to go ahead and give another Bargie Award here. It's just Imagine Mastery, 2 wins in the division. I know the filly was much better than he was, but he is the colt, so we're going to give him an award here as well. So congrats to Dragneel here. I think Imagine Mastery is deserving here with the win in the Ozark, win in the Chesapeake. He beat up all the boys anyway. He just couldn't handle that girl. All right, here's the 3-year-old colt division. Imagine Mastery and Story Behind again dominating these 4 races. And Story Behind, 30 points in the division. Imagine Mastery, 26. And that concludes our 2 and 3-year-old awards here. Stay tuned. We'll have another video talking about our next set of Bargie Award winners. Congrats to everyone. Dragneel, Plano, Fast and Firm, Hawks. Great on the young runners. Looking forward to seeing these guys in 2018.